Hello there. What is going on, everyone? Today, we are bringing to you a patron-suggested video, and this one is for Kickstarters to be on the lookout for. Actually, this one's actually going to be about Kickstarters that are out now that have caught my eye, things that I think are maybe worth your attention. So we're going to go over a couple of Kickstarters out there in January of 2019 that are currently having campaigns in progress, and I'll give you a little, some thoughts of what I am thinking about those today. So I want to start us right off with, let's just change the background and let's just talk about them as I go through them. I figure that's probably the easiest way. So right now, Hero Forge 2.0. Has a Kickstarter going on right now. So if you're not familiar with Hero Forge, I actually did a review on Hero Forge a while back. It's a really cool site where you can either get STL files or just have them, have a whole mini printed and sent to you. Kind of in the style of Shapeways, except in this, with Hero Forge, you get to go in and build your own miniature. You can, they've constantly improved their engine over time, adding more accessories that you can do. They even have nunchucks, so I love you, Hero Forge. But now they have full color miniatures that you can do. So basically, it's going to print in color, and it's a pretty cool process how you can kind of design your mini, and you want different. Like if you basically don't want to paint your mini. This is a little strange to me because I'm thinking, well, why wouldn't you want to paint your mini? But it looks like they can do some pretty cool stuff. So like right here, you have one like how it would normally come for ready to paint. Then you have their 3D color printed one. And then of course you have one that's been painted already. And they also have this new token system where they're going to have tokens that you can design as well. But there's all kinds of pledge levels, and you can get basically in there some of the tokens. Basically, if you pledge here, you're kind of backing them. It's like almost like a dedicated pre-order system. That's basically what Kickstarter turns out to be a lot of times, more often than not. And so you can get basically discounted prices on minis. So if you think you're going to want to use Hero Forge over the next year, you may want to, or anytime in the near future, you may want to back, at least at a lower level to save some money on one mini, or maybe multiple minis. Maybe you want to do a whole army of 250 custom minis, and then you can go for it. But they have a lot of pledge levels, and they're pretty cool. So next is Star Realms Deluxe Nova Collection. Now I don't do a whole lot of card games, at least not on my channel. I used to talk about Destiny, and that went away. I stopped playing Destiny, and Star Realms is one of those games that I really, really like. I don't play it very often, but it's just a great great deck builder. Now, if you're not familiar with deck builders, if you follow me and you're really just playing, used to the tabletop miniatures games that I tend to cover, a deck builder is kind of a game where you and everybody else that's playing starts with a deck of like the exact same, 5 or 10 cards, and you guys are vying for position to try and buy cards from a common pool that go immediately into your deck. You're going to run out of cards, you then reshuffle and then redraw. And so you're building your deck through the course of the game to it's basically like an engine builder, but it goes right into your deck. And it's meant to kind of give you some of that, like, oh, I want this card because it's going to combo really well. Like the whole idea was that somebody said, hey, one of the things about like a game like Magic the Gathering is when you're not playing, you're at home, coming up with new deck ideas. And what if we made a game that kind of captured the feel of what it's like to design your own deck? And that's where the deck builder genre was kind of formed. And Star Realms just hits it on the head. And there's a whole lot of extras in this particular collection. You've got all kinds of fancy dials, this huge, awesome Kickstarter exclusive box, a new playmat, and all kinds of extra cool stuff. So if you haven't checked out Star Realms, I think it's worth it. If you like deck builders, Star Realms is maybe one of the best out there. Maybe the best. I don't know. It's really hard because it's hard to top Dominion for me, because it's the kind of like the grandfather of all deck builders. So, but Star Realms really kind of perfects that classic formula. Next up is Oath. Now, admittedly, this is not a game that I would back. This is not my type of game, but I think it's worth mentioning because I think this one's going to be very, very big. Primarily, you may have heard of a game called Root by Leader Games. Obviously I saw this and said, hey, that's in the same art style as Root, and sure enough, it's made, they're the same company. They've made a couple of games, and basically the type of games that these guys produce are very asymmetrical power. So everybody that's playing has a completely different role, and you play again next time, and this person has totally different stuff. This other person's doing totally different stuff. So everybody's play style and win conditions are usually kind of different. And this is kind of like the next game in that type of I don't know, a theme. It's really hard to say, but there's a couple of reasons why this isn't necessarily a game that I would go for. For one, I'm not super crazy about the board. The board kind of looks a little bit more basic, and it uses, wooden meeples instead of miniatures. And I'm not a big fan of wooden meeples, but usually their gameplay is pretty on point. Like Root is, if I'm only judging them based on the success of their last game, Root is, to be fair, a great game. Not my favorite game, but I can definitely see the incredible depth that goes into a game like that. So I think Oath is worth checking out if you're if you're more of a board gamer and you like more asymmetrical powers and less of the tabletop miniatures and more of the board gaming world. I think Oath is worth a look. Similar to other board games, this one's kind of like one of those classic games getting redone. Return to Dark Tower. I will admit I have never played Dark Tower, but like this was the image that this has been going across Facebook. You may have actually seen this on your feed if you do follow other board gaming materials. Very, very beautiful table presence for this game, so it's immediately captured my attention. I'm like, what in the heck is this? But it was all the components for this are absolutely gorgeous. Really, really pretty. It's, you've got area control, you've got things moving around. There's some smartphone integration, and the tower itself is digital. And like what I mean by digital, I mean there's a physical tower, but like they have a breakdown of it here. Let me see if I can find it. But this one, it's actually mechanical, I guess that's the better word. It's got infrared sensors, it's got lighting in there, it's just got all kinds of stuff. It does all kinds of crazy, what a cool concept. I think this would be a really, really fun game to play. And of course, like with a lot of Kickstarter models, there's add-ons and expansions and all of that. So if you really want to blow a lot of money, this might be a really fun way to do that. The next one I'm going to bring up is a little different than my norm. Some of you guys may or may not know I'm a Dragon Ball fan. Dragon Ball Z particularly. Like out in my garage, I've got a great big Vegeta poster by Barrett Biggers hanging up behind me, in some of my videos at least. And so I saw this and I was like, oh, Dragon Ball Z miniatures game? How did I not see this sooner? And there's a reason for that. So if you are browsing Kickstarter and you come across something like this, it's very important to know that this is, I guess they don't have license in the United States, so they're only shipping to certain countries, and I don't believe they're shipping to North America, or at least not to the United States. And so I thought they were funded way more than 20,000, at least at the time that I'm recording this. And I think initially it didn't say, hey, by the way, this game is not going to ship to the United States. And so I know not all of my viewers are in the United States, but yeah, so this is here's the weird thing about this one. I came down and I saw the board right here, and I was like, oh, well, this was before I even knew about the United States thing. And I thought, wow, wait a second, that looks really bad. I mean, it's just a square board, and outside of the minis, the game does not look very interesting. It looks like very, very basic, just based on the materials, the player boards. The minis are cool. They're pre-painted, okay, that's fine. But here's the thing, I was also kind of getting confused because there's so many other companies doing Dragon Ball Z games right now. Jasco Games has the Street Fighter miniatures game going on right now, and that's still Still hasn't delivered yet. It'll probably be at the end of this year, it looks like. I don't know. They haven't even gone into mass production yet. So who knows? Lots of delays with the Street Fighter game. But once that starts getting delivered, they're going to launch the Mortal Kombat game, and I believe they also have a Dragon Ball Z game coming out too. With that, all uses the same fighting system, and they'll all be interoperable. But also, CMON is supposed to be doing a Dragon Ball Z game as well, and I really like the idea of a CMON kind of Dragon Ball Z game. So I was like, wait, so that's two different Dragon Ball Z games. And what is this Dragon Ball Z? Because this is from Kids Logic, and they're out of Hong Kong. And so I'm like, wait, like usually companies don't give licenses out that much. So after digging a little deeper, I was like, oh, okay, so this is one of those deals where they split the license up by regions. So I'm really not eligible to. So if I bought this, I would not be allowed to actually get my game because it wouldn't be able to ship here. So I'd have to have it shipped somewhere else, or I don't. So basically, if you are in the United States, you may want to avoid this one. And if you are looking at this one, just see if they ship to your country. Be very clear before you pledge. Next up is Shiver Me Timbers. This one is a pirate game. There are a lot of pirate-based board games, but this one does something I think is really cool. And it's not the first time I've seen a game do this. I remember I could have sworn I saw somebody else with a very, very similar mechanic. But the thing is, your pirate ships get upgrades. All right, in a lot of pirate games, you upgrade your ships, and I like the idea of upgrading your ships. But in this one, the upgrades are physical, and you can see them. And what I mean by that is also you have this whole board that's very dynamic and moves around and stuff. So you're gonna have a different kind of game board every time as you're flying around. But and you can kind of see it in the model right here. You can grow your ship. It can become longer. You can put extra, storage on your ship, and for to be able to hold bigger cargo holds. But your cannons also kind of flip out. There we go. So there's a little animated kind of design of there you go. You're getting more cannons, and then you're extending their cargo hold for your ship, and then you have the little dial that says what kind of cargo you're going to hold. So that's what really made me want to mention this particular game, because that's a cool mechanic. I have long kind of wanted a naval, granted maybe a Star Wars or spaceship type of game where you can physically upgrade your ships and I'm going to put this turbo laser on there, and you actually put the turbo laser on there. And so stuff like that would be really cool. But here they're doing it with the pirates, and that's kind of cool. Granted, this isn't a war game. This is a pirate game, and a little different. But I do appreciate what they're doing with the minis there. Now we're getting to a really big. Speaking of minis, this one is all. I think this one's all about the minis. If you're looking for one of those big nasty Kickstarters that's just full of miniatures, this one might be a really, really fun one. So especially if you're into D&D or something like that, and you want a game that's gonna be cool, but you can also use the minis for your role-playing games and stuff like that. Grenda looks really, really cool. So you've got let's see. You've got this board, and you've got this, I didn't even think that the gameplay looked all that interesting. It doesn't look bad. It's got a lot of cards. It's got, it's got all this other stuff. I did read a little bit that it can take a long time to play, and that that's fine. That some people like quicker games, some people like longer games, but you got a lot of miniatures in this one, and they're really, really nice looking miniatures, and with all these stretch goal miniatures too. So if you back this on Kickstarter, you're going to get lots and lots of miniatures. So I think that's actually pretty cool. Plus they got their extra clans and their add-ons and all that stuff. It's kind of got a very much of an angels versus demons kind of feel to this game, but the sculpts look really cool, and I just thought, hey, this looks like actually a really cool game worth mentioning because of that art style and the minis. It's got a lot. I think they said it has let me scroll up, 244 plus miniatures. And that was, that's pretty nice. That's pretty nice. I'm surprised it doesn't have more funding, but it's still got a lot of time to go. Next, and in closing, I want to talk about what I think might be one of the most impressive games of the year. And I realize it's only January. I think this one's going to have some lasting power throughout the whole year. And I think you're going to see this one a lot of conventions this year. I think this one will be very popular. I don't know if it'll be printed and available by Gen Con, but if it's out this year, it's going to be incredible. Foundations of Rome. Foundations of Rome is this game where you're basically building the city of Rome, and everybody's got their own building. So you've got like a whole little, everybody's got their own little city, and so I actually recently received a game from Kickstarter called Big City Jumbo Edition, and I haven't done a review of it yet, but it's a very cool game. And look, the box for this thing is huge. It's like a Rising Sun size kind of box. But you've got this giant city of Rome here, and you guys are all trying to build in there, and then score the most points. But I mean, gosh, and look, you've got 5th player expansion, you've got other expansions as well, and the buildings are really, 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 really beautiful. So I mean, I'm not always as big on like straight up kind of Euro games, but I am if they have great components. That's, I think, outside of gameplay, my number one thing is components. Of course, gameplay has to be fun. I'm not always looking for the most analytical game. I'm looking for something that's fun. And this is like quick and easy to learn, but difficult to master is how this is being marketed. But and there's a lot of reviews. They really sent prototypes out to a lot of folks. Not me, but yeah, like this one looks really, really cool. I can't wait to see this one in action. I can't wait for this one to fund. I am considering, I don't usually back Kickstarters anymore. And the reason I don't back Kickstarters anymore, since I've been doing more board game reviews, I've been getting a lot of board games in the mail, and I'm running out of room. Like I'm having to like give away a lot of board games. I just gave away a ton just recently. And not out of not liking them, out of just not having enough room. So I really can only save, like I only have enough room for like, my top, 20 or 30 or something like that, because I also have to have room for all of the Star Wars and miniatures games. So for regular board games, I really don't back that many Kickstarters. I probably back maybe 3 or 4 a year or maybe less. But this one I'm considering backing because so this would be like one of my 3 a year for 2020. This might be one of the 3. It looks really cool, but there's some time left, so at least I've bookmarked this one. But I think this one is going to be incredible. The buildings look absolutely gorgeous. I think you should definitely check this one out. This is not going to be sold into distribution. If you want it, pledge now. So. Or within the next 2 weeks. All right. But no, this one looks really, really cool. And I think if you miss this one, you might regret it. That is certainly a possibility. And of course, unless somebody is backing it. Because that's one of the things that happens in gamer groups sometimes is you will back a game, your buddy backs the game, and then another mutual friend also backs the game. You've all 3 got copies of the game, but then you're like, well, I just guess I didn't, especially if you tend to only play with those people. This happened to me when I first started getting into board games and backing games on Kickstarter. It's like me and friends would all get the same exact games, and then it was like, well, that's dumb because we play with each other, so only one of us needs to have the game. So, but hey, that's a good problem to have. All right, guys. Well, I think that's it for all of the Kickstarter stuff that I wanted to. I mean, it's not to say that there's plenty more Kickstarters out there. There's even some that look kind of cool, but I think these were the ones that I wanted to showcase in today's video. Let me know if you liked this type of video. Oh, I have a giveaway winner to announce, by the way. For the $25 Amazon gift card giveaway, that is going to be Matt Mem. Congratulations, Matt. Just go ahead and shoot me an email. Contact me on the back end of my channel, or you can find my contact info on crabbok.com under contact info. Just shoot me an email with your details, and we'll get you squared away with that $25 Amazon gift card. And yeah, I do giveaways all the time, and for all of those, you just have to be a subscriber and leave a comment to enter to win any of the giveaways. So stay tuned for the next giveaway, which should be starting here pretty soon. So until then, I will talk to you guys later. I want to thank you all so much for watching. I also want to thank the patrons on Patreon. You guys are amazing as well. So thank you so much for watching. And as always, have a great day.